In the quiet hours, when the world has settled into its deepest slumber, a different kind of noise often awakens within us. It is the echo of a laugh from a decade ago, the ghost of a touch, the phantom glow of a sun that set long before. We are visited by a memory, but not a painful one. It is a memory gilded in gold, polished by time, a perfect moment from a past that seems, in retrospect, simpler and more brilliant than the present could ever be. You know this visitation. It carries the sweet, cloying scent of nostalgia, and it feels like coming home. But tonight, we will learn to see this feeling for what it truly is. Not a comfort, but a poison that saps the strength from your present limbs and clouds the vision you need for the path ahead. We will take up the sword, not against a physical foe, but against this disordered attachment to a phantom time. This is the practice of severing the ties to a golden past. Our principle comes from the final work of the most renowned swordsman in history, Miyamoto Musashi. Dying of illness in a cave, he did not write a poem of regret or a wistful letter to lost loves. He carved into wood the Dokkōdō, the path of aloneness. 21 precepts of unflinching resolve. The one that concerns us tonight is the fifth. Do not regret what you have done. This is not a callous dismissal of morality. It is the tactical order of a warrior on campaign. A samurai on a long march cannot afford to constantly look over his shoulder at the village he left behind. To do so is to invite a fatal distraction, a stumble, an opening for an enemy's blade. Regret looks back at a past mistake with anguish. Nostalgia looks back at a past joy with longing. Both are forms of looking backward. Both take your eyes off the terrain in front of you. And in the philosophy of the warrior, a distracted mind is a dead mind. This is the first cut we must make, to understand that nostalgia and regret are two sides of the same coin, a currency that holds no value in the economy of present action. To understand this cut, we must first meet our companion on this path. His name is Kenji, and for nearly 2 decades he has lived inside a memory. In his mid-20s, Kenji was a promising artist. He lived in a small, sun-drenched studio overlooking a canal, and for one fleeting summer, everything aligned. His paintings sold, his confidence was a tangible force, and he was deeply in love. Then, as seasons do, it changed. A fire in his building destroyed his studio and unsold works. The art market shifted. The relationship, strained by stress, dissolved. Kenji rebuilt, but he rebuilt around an empty center. He took a stable job in graphic design, married a kind woman, built a comfortable life. Yet, every decision was measured against that one golden summer. His current success felt hollow. His present love felt ordinary, because he was forever comparing them to a phantom that grew more perfect with each passing year. He was not living his life. He was curating a museum dedicated to a self that no longer existed. This is the mechanism of the poison. Nostalgia is not mere memory. It is memory subjected to a rigorous, unconscious editing process. The struggle, the doubt, the mundane irritations of that past time, they are all filtered out. What remains is a pure concentrate of feeling, an idealized fiction. Kenji's mind had performed this alchemy. It forgot the gnawing anxiety about rent, the bitter arguments with his lover, the long nights of creative doubt. It preserved only the sunset on the water, the thrill of a sail, the warmth of a kiss. By clinging to this fiction, he made a prison of his past. His present became a place of lack, a constant falling short. This is what the samurai understood. Attachment to a past version of yourself, whether you view it as a hero or a villain, is a form of captivity. It prevents the necessary evolution of your character. You are trying to live in a house you have already outgrown, and so you are forever stooping, forever bruising your head on low doorways. The samurai had a term for the practice of release, dan setsu, duanjai. It means to sever cleanly at the joint. It is the precise, decisive cut that separates one section of bamboo from another. Not a splintering smash, but a clean, irrevocable division. Applied to the mind, dan setsu is the conscious, disciplined act of severing psychic ties to past versions of oneself. It is not an act of destruction, but of necessary surgery. You are not killing your past. You are acknowledging that it is a closed chapter, a limb that has served its purpose and must now be cleanly detached to prevent gangrene from setting into the present. For Kenji, the first step of dan setsu was the most painful. He had to willingly dirty the golden memory. He had to reopen the edited film and watch the uncut version. This is the warrior's introspection. In silence, Kenji sat and deliberately recalled the full truth. He wrote down not just the joy of that summer, but the fear, the jealousy he felt when a rival succeeded, the shallow pride that came with early praise, the fundamental insecurity that his lover might one day see him as the fraud he sometimes felt himself to be. He remembered the sticky heat of the studio, with no air conditioning, the loneliness when his partner was away. He did this not to punish himself, but to restore balance, to see the past as it was, a complex, flawed human experience, rather than as the simplified myth he had been worshipping. By reintroducing the shadows, the gilded statue lost its supernatural glow. It became merely human, and what is human can be left behind, because we are designed to move forward. This is the application of Musashi's precept. Do not regret what you have done. See it fully, accept its wholeness, and then sever the cord. The clean severance is followed by a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. The mind, having been oriented backward for so long, will rush to fill the space with the same old phantoms. This is where discipline becomes action. The warrior on campaign, having left his home village without a backward glance, must now pour all his attention into the rhythm of the march, the feel of the road under his sandals, the scan of the tree line, the maintenance of his gear. For Kenji, this meant the institution of kata, the small, non-negotiable forms of present action. He began a new ritual. Every evening, he would spend 30 minutes not designing for clients, but sketching for himself. Not to recreate the style of his 20s, but to explore the clumsiness of a new technique. He committed to a weekly walk with his wife, a mushin shugyo, a pilgrimage of no mind, where they would observe their neighborhood as if for the first time, without the filter of comparison. These actions are not grand gestures of transformation. They are the quiet daily drills of a soldier retraining his attention. Their power lies not in their scale, but in their direction. They are arrows shot forward into the future. Each small sketch was a declaration. I am not that past artist. I am the artist who sketches now. Each walk was a vow. This is my life, here, in this present air, with this present companion. Slowly, the psychic energy that had been siphoned off to maintain the museum of his past began to reinvest in the architecture of his present. He began to notice details in his wife's laughter he had been too distracted to see. He felt a different, more grounded satisfaction in solving a design problem at work. The past did not disappear, but it lost its gravitational pull. It became a point on a map he had traveled through, not a magnet dragging him backward. This is the final stage of the severance, the integration of the warrior's forward-only gaze. The philosopher Yamamoto Tsunetomo, in the Hagakure, wrote, "The way of the samurai is found in death." This means having the presence of mind to choose each action as if it were your last. This is often misunderstood as a morbid fixation. It is, in fact, the ultimate technique for presence. If this action, this very breath, could be your final one, you would not waste it on a longing for a breath taken 10 years ago. You would drink it in completely. Kenji's practice of dan setsu led him to this understanding. His past summer was not a treasure to be hoarded, but a lesson that had now been fully absorbed. Its purpose was served. To cling to it further was to dishonor the very lesson it taught him about passion and impermanence. So, we arrive at the quiet conclusion, the sheathing of the sword after a necessary cut. The poison of nostalgia is subtle because it wears the mask of beauty, but the warrior knows that a beautiful distraction is still a distraction, and on the path of mastery, all distractions are fatal. The practice is simple, though not easy. You must see your past in its glorious and inglorious totality. You must perform the clean, surgical severance of dan setsu, acknowledging that chapter as complete. And then, you must march. You must orient your entire being, your rituals, your attention, your identity, toward the ground beneath your feet and the horizon ahead of you. Do not regret what you have done. Do not long for what you have been. The past is a closed fortress. You are no longer inside its walls. You are on the open road, under the vast sky, and the only direction that holds any meaning for a warrior is the one that lies before you, one step and then the next, into the unknown and necessary future. We have walked a long path together tonight, from the initial seduction of a gilded memory to the clean, decisive cut of dan setsu. We have learned that nostalgia and regret, though they feel different, are the same spiritual poison, an attachment to a phantom that weakens our resolve for the present. We have taken from Musashi's Dokkōdō the imperative to not look back, and we have seen in the story of Kenji the practical discipline of severing ties to a past self, not with violence, but with the quiet truth of seeing things as they truly were. The ultimate lesson is this: your greatest strength lies not in what you have been, but in your unwavering capacity to be here, now, and to act from this point forward with a warrior's focused gaze. I leave you with a single question to carry into your own reflection. What is the one golden past, a version of yourself, a time, a relationship, that you have, until now, allowed to define the limits of your present? I would be honored to hear your answer in the comments below. If this path has resonated with you, if you feel the call to cut away what no longer serves your forward march, then consider leaving a comment, sharing your thoughts, and subscribing. Your presence here is a sign of your own commitment to the path. Thank you deeply for walking this far. Until next we meet on the path, remain present and walk forward.